Everybody. How is everyone? I'm a couple of minutes late. Sorry about that. Some days are just a little more hectic than others. I hope you guys are doing well this week. I am, you know, coming on today. My name, of course, is Kim Ann Curtin, and I usually do this on Thursdays, but I can't this week. So I had some time open up this afternoon, which is this afternoon Hawaii time, which is where I'm located. So I thought, let me do today. Look, most times I'm going to try to shoot for Thursdays, but because I can't this Thursday and likely can't next Thursday, I didn't want to not be here for an entire 2 weeks. So you got me today, and hopefully, some people maybe who can't come on Thursdays get to experience this. What is this? Well, this is weekly live coaching. And what I have been doing is, coaching people via the chat box. That basically means they're able to put their question in the chat box and we go from there. But lately, I've been taking a volunteer or two and bring them into the room and do some coaching. So if you do have something that you want some coaching on, happy to bring you in. Of course, it can be on any topic, but you want to keep in mind that you are streaming live in front of, the whole world, so to speak. What else did I want to say? I also just want to do a shout out to Tina, who is the person who raised her hand for some coaching last Thursday. That, of course, streams on my YouTube channel if you guys want to see. One of the things that I was so impressed about with Tina is her courage, because to come into this kind of forum takes guts. And, she put up a really beautiful comment up on YouTube about how valuable it was. So just remember, if you want some coaching but you feel nervous, just let me assure you that this being uncomfortable is part of the journey of being a trader, and ultimately your ability to stretch into discomfort in ways that are healthy, in ways that are not going to harm you, is going to be a critical part of the whole journey. So anyway, for what it's worth, my name is Kim Ann Curtin, the Wall Street Coach. I've been coaching executives and traders for the past 18 years. This is what I'm born to do. I discovered coaching myself about 20 years ago, hired a coach. It was life-changing. I found it to be, for myself personally, much more impactful than therapy had been previously. And I had had a lot of therapy. So I became a coach and left finance. I was in finance for 10 years at the C-suite level, which just means I was working with the, CEO, CFO kind of part of the organization, and, saw a lot of things. Certainly had a trading desk next to me. Saw a lot of the pressures that those people endure every day. So my sensitivity to the pressure and the perfection that's really needed to make it is pretty heightened. And I've collected a lot of tools that have really changed my life, tools that have helped me and all the clients I've worked with over the past 18 years. And if you're curious, like how I change their lives, like look at my testimonials. They can say a better job. They do a better job at explaining what I did for them than I can. Also, I want to thank our sponsor, Centerpoint, for sponsoring this live. And one of the things I'd like to do right now is put up a special link that Centerpoint shared for people who are listening in. Hey, Jason, I'm so glad you're here. And I have to check on Northern Trade. I'm so glad you're here. Micah, Tina, I'm so glad you're here. So Jason is, I'm going to check X to just, Jason's usual last name start with an S. I just invited a Jason to come join today. So I'm just quickly looking to see if that's him. Yeah, you are. Okay, that's you. So So I'm gonna okay, I just saw your I did look at Twitter again. Jason, Jason, I'm gonna give you this link, okay? I'm so glad you're here. Oh my God. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. Jason, I'm so glad you're here. All right, Jason, this link is for you. Um, click on that and then I can bring you into the room. I'm so glad you're here. This is awesome. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. You're the best. You're the best. You truly are. So good to see everybody. And hey, by the way, Northern Trade, I just want to tell you that you didn't get into the X space yesterday. You wanted to ask Brad a question, but I couldn't get you in. Your reception was bad. So just so you know what happened. Hi, Jason. How the hell are you? Long time. So
I'm doubling up. Okay, now I think
there you are. There you are. Everybody, this is Jason Shapiro. How do I even describe you, Jason? You are one of a kind. And I am just so happy you're here. Talk about having a very, very smart trader with us in the house and so down to earth. You're one of the most down to earth people I know, Jason. And I adore you.
thank you. Right back at you.
So, what I usually do, now that I'm joking, let me take a sip of my water here. Mm. So, what I usually do, or at least recently, I started to ask for a trader to come into the room, tell us a challenge. And if you're open to it, I would love you to weigh in on the technical aspect. And then, of course, I'll weigh in on the emotional aspect. Or you can just, shoot, shoot the shit and just give us some of your beautiful wisdom, just ad hoc. It's up to you.
Me?
Hmm. Yeah, I can bring up somebody into this room who usually it's a trader who tells us about a challenge they have. And I would ask you to give them some feedback just around the technical aspect. And then,
Challenge I have. It's all a challenge. Trying to keep my sanity through all of this, that's a challenge. Finding a good razor,
is that a
that's
challenge too?
clearly a challenge. You know, a big challenge that came up, I think, this year was I trade a pretty, or I would say a very defined process. And that's, based on certain data and all that.
Yeah.
And this year, I didn't have a single trade for the first like 10 weeks of the year. And that's never happened. I've been trading this process for over 20 years.
Wow.
And I've never had a situation like that before. And like for 10 weeks, I'm supposed to sit here. And I didn't know how long it was going to take.
Right. Of course. Of
So for
course.
10 weeks, I'm supposed to sit here and not put on a single trade. I manage people's money. You know what I mean? And it's like, what are you doing?
Yep.
So that was a very, very difficult one for me. That
How
just
how
recently happened.
how did you navigate that? Just at least emotionally, how did you navigate that?
It was difficult. It was very difficult, but I just kept telling myself, stick with the process, stick with the process, stick with the process. And there was good in it in that I manage money for some institutions. I'm a CTA.
Hmm.
These institutions are, for the most part, fund of funds. So they take money in, they allocate it out to different traders. I have a certain job to do for them as part of their team of traders. A
Yeah.
lot of them allocate money to trend followers as CTAs. I am actually sort of a counter trend person. And therefore, I'm trying to offer them negative correlation to their trend following. That's really what my job is. That's what people hire me to do.
Yeah.
Now, I need to put up positive returns, obviously, but I
Yeah.
want the reason people give me money is because I have this negative correlation to everything else. So the good point during that is that while that was going on earlier in the year, the trend following returns were just crushing it. They were having one of their best runs ever. So therefore, I didn't have any trades. So I was flat, right? So if I can be flat while trend following is crushing it, and then hopefully make money when trend following is losing, well, then I'm kind of a hero, right?
Yeah.
At least from that point of view,
Yeah.
which is great. But the truth is, I don't get paid any money
Yep.
for doing that. I mean, in the long term, it will
Totally.
help, right? Because rather than, okay, now my turn, trend following goes bad, it's my turn to make money. I won't just be making back losses, right? I'm
Right.
making back from zero. So in the long term, it's great. And because I don't charge management fee, I'm 0 and 30, so I charge no management fee, and I just take a percentage of the profits. So I go 3 months without making any money, and I don't get paid anything. But luckily I have based my entire life around this,
Yeah.
and I live in such a way
Yeah.
that I have, the reason I can charge 0 and 30, I don't have really expenses. Here I am sitting in my office in my house, right? I don't have, and before I had a firm that had a bunch of people working for me and had all the expenses associated with all of that.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it. So I set this up 5 years ago this way.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a lot of expenses, and I have done, knock wood, a good job of saving my money, so that if I don't make money, for a while, then I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Um, so that helped in
Yeah.
all of that. Also,
Totally.
understanding, like I was saying, what it is, what my job is, and not everybody has this. Most people just want to be like, I just want to make money, right?
Yeah.
But understanding my process and what the return stream is about helped me to get through that as well. Because, like I say, while that was going on, trend following was absolutely crushing it. I don't know if people follow that very closely, but trend following had just a monster first quarter this year.
Wow.
So if I could be flat, well, they're up, 15%. It's actually a great job by me.
Yep. Totally.
But still very, very hard to do.
Yeah.
Very, very,
Yep.
especially when it's the first time. You know.
Totally. Totally. And to be a person who is had an incredible track record such as yourself, I can't imagine the self-doubt that can't help but get kicked up. And I'm beyond grateful to you and your willingness to speak to it out loud, because I just feel like if you stick around in this game long enough, it's inevitable to have some kind of curveball, and you are just helping those who are so much more or so much less experienced see, geez, if this happens to the veterans, of course it can happen to them. Like, it takes so much guts, man, for you to just say that out loud right here. It's so impressive, Jason, truly.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'm too old to lie at this point. You know what I mean? We deal with, you talk about this all the time. You should be dealing with honesty at all times. And I think, which is not what I did when I was a younger person, but I got to a certain point in my life actually where I made a contract with myself where, after much negative things in my life, including, business trouble and relationship troubles and divorce, I came to a point when I was somewhere in my 30s where I said, something, I'm just not going to lie any at all.
Yeah.
And
So
therefore,
much easier.
it clears my mind so much because I don't have to remember any bullshit that I might have laid out there. Right? Anybody want to come to me with something? Come, because I didn't lie about any of it.
Yep.
And also, I find it regulates me. If I
Yep.
can't do something that I then have to lie about,
Yeah.
well, then I'm regulating myself from not doing a lot of things that I probably shouldn't be doing. Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, the whole lying game, and it all coincides with trading. I don't want to get into my whole personal belief system, but it all coincides with trading because there is no lying in trading. You can lie all you want, but your P&L ain't gonna lie, right?
Yep.
You're lying to yourself only.
That's
Right?
it. That's it.
I know you speak about this all the time. You have to be honest with yourself, no question about it when it comes to this. So, and it's a hard thing to do.
I feel like the only reason, even those who do lie to themselves in outlandish ways, I truly feel it's informed by a deep sense of shame that they're not yet comfortable with their humanity, with their being a fallible person. It's like there's this expectation that we all have to be perfect or got it all together. And I say this all the time, especially as a coach. Like, I try to practice the things I talk about, but I can't. I don't have figured out either. That's why I'm so hungry for these tools, because every day there's going to be some kind of challenge or struggle. It's like if we could just not expect perfection of ourselves, then maybe we could handle the times when the shit hits the fan better. Like, oh shit,
There's-
this sucks.
no, I think that's a great thing to say. We are not perfect, and you're going even within all of everything. Not only are you going to have things that you're going to make mistakes too. I sit here and okay, I'm super disciplined, and I trade this one system, and I trade this one process. Do I make mistakes even within that? I do.
Yeah.
I try very hard not to, and I try to learn every time I do it.
Totally.
But things happen, man. Like and trade. The problem is in a lot of things in life, you can paper over it if that's what you choose to do. But with trading, it's very difficult to paper over because there's P&L involved here, right? I mean, this is actually what I like about trading so much, is that you can't paper over because your P&L doesn't lie. You know what I mean? You're not going to tell your broker, "Oh, I didn't make that trade."
That's right.
I mean, you did, dude. Maybe you didn't want to. Maybe you wish you didn't, but you did, and therefore your P&L is now negative. And you have to forgive yourself for that, and all these, trading is so psychological, right? All these things affect you, right? I see so many mistakes in trading that that I have made and that many people make because of those type of things. Okay, I just lost money trading S&Ps. Well, now I got to make it back trading S&Ps, and I got to make it back to the same side. I shorted S&P, it went up, I lost money. Oh, now I got to make it back shorting S&P. And I've gone broke doing that, quite frankly, in my earlier life, and I see people trying to do that all the time. Who cares where you make your money? I talk to my people all the time about this. Like, it does. In '08, for example, I worked at a hedge fund, and '08 was obviously a big thing. And I ended up having a positive year in '08, which is wonderful. But you know what? I didn't catch the stock short. Like right now, my stuff is not set up to short stocks at all, right? So if stocks go down, I am not going to be short stocks.
Yep.
I have other stuff that I can be short that is set up. And it was the same thing in '08. I made money in '08, and that was great. But I wasn't short stocks at all. My stuff wasn't set up to short stocks at all. My stuff doesn't catch every single move in every single market,
No.
But I did catch, I think it was short oil, short natural gas. I was short the energies during that. And those things dropped, just like everything else, 60, 70%. I caught it there. Nobody looks at my track record and says, "Hey, you didn't short stocks in '08. What are you doing?"
That's
They
right.
just look and they say, "Hey, man, you made money in '08. That's awesome."
Right. That's
You know?
right.
So that mindset, this is what happens. I think that we're talking about. People get stuck in what a mistake they made, and now they feel like they got to make it back, and that
Totally.
and that it's so dangerous. It's just so dangerous. I'm speaking from experience, man. I'm not preaching. I'm speaking from experience. I've been there. I've done that.
Yeah.
So
Yep. One of my spiritual teachers says to me all the time that until we get comfortable with being fuck ups, until we're comfortable that we're all fuck ups and that it's just part of being human, it's really hard for us to let ourselves live because we're going to be constantly trying to like out what is it, like outrun our fallibility, our humanity. And he's like, until we stop running and just be with our humanity, embrace it, do the best we can, and be like, oh, I fucked up, and then just move on. Like,
and learn from it. I mean,
and
I tell
from
my kids all the time, it's so hard, but it's like make as many mistakes as you can because that's the only thing you're going to learn from. Now, it's
exactly.
funny because I have a niece who is my brother's daughter, and my brother and his wife are very like sort of They don't want to make mistakes. You know what I mean? They're
Yes.
scared to make
Yes.
mistakes. And their daughter, look, she goes to Harvard Medical School, man. You know what I mean? She works her ass off. And her mother, I always say to her too, I go, honey, you know, do you ever make mistakes? Do you ever get something wrong? And her mother's like, you know, not everybody has to learn from mistakes, Jason. And I'm like, I disagree with that. I can't tell you how much I disagree with that. If you're not making mistakes, in my view, you ain't trying hard enough.
How
If all you're doing is succeeding at what you're doing,
you don't learn. You
you're not
don't learn.
you're not pushing yourself.
You
You're not
don't learn
trying
from
hard
the
enough.
things you're doing well. You can't learn from that.
Right. You're actually learning bad things. What you're learning is you're infallible and you're a genius and all that. You know,
Correct.
this gets to like when people start trading and they start making money when they first start trading, which I did, is the worst thing you could ever do. Really. But it doesn't feel like that. You don't
No,
want to go,
you
oh, I'm going to
don't.
trade and I'm going to lose money, but that's okay because I'm going to learn all kinds of lessons, right? But
Don't.
that's the damn truth, man. Like I came out of the gate when I was a young kid and it was just like everybody. It was a bull market.
Yeah.
And so whatever I bought went up. And so I was making money and I figured I was a genius. And that I learned pretty damn quickly as soon as the bull market ended, that I, in fact, was not.
Well, I think you might be, but the point is what you are a genius in, and maybe everybody, you're going to have to find going through that, you know, black tunnel, that darkness. The darkness is where it's like the butterfly, right? The caterpillar has to dissolve for the butterfly to get birthed.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just to keep the subject matter, I guess, on trading, which is what we're supposed to be talking about. It just highlights the importance of things like keeping a trading diary and all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As you go, because that's where you're going to be able to learn your lessons, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
very difficult. People have a way of, you know, the brain is a killer. You know what I mean? The defense mechanisms within the brain, you know, and that's why it's so important to try to be honest, because you got to break down your defense mechanisms in order to see the truth, which is very, 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 very hard to do. To be that self-reflective, it's very hard to do.
Yeah.
But if you're writing down and keeping a diary, well, then you can go back, you know, and you
Yeah.
can say, you know, because if you don't do that, all you do is you remember the good decisions you made and you try to basically block out the bad decisions you make and say, oh, it was just a bad luck. The Fed came out and said something and that was
That's
just bad luck and all that crap, right?
That's right.
And you block
Totally.
that out. And that's dangerous. So keeping a diary is a very good thing to do because then you can go back every month, every 3 months, when you're having a bad period, whatever.
Exactly.
You can go back and actually see what was I thinking then and how was my thinking wrong and how can I learn from that? This is a constant process of learning. I've been managing the same process now for over 25 years.
Wow.
And just this year, I've had a number of things happen that have never happened that I've had to deal with. Like I said, no trades for, you know, 10 weeks, but there've been other things this year too that I've never, and my process is very simple, you know, and it's based on very simple data and it hasn't really had any changes over 25 years. But this last year has been like things I've never seen before.
Yep.
And I've had to deal with that.
It's just I'm just beyond grateful that you're just sharing that because it goes to show that there is nobody who can ever think they're going to get to a place in their trading where they can coast and put it on autopilot.
Nope.
If a 25-year vet isn't able to and has
I've
some
been doing this for 35 years, but I've been doing this particular process for 25 years.
35, even
10
more.
years, 10 years of doing what everybody does.
Yep.
You know, making, losing, wondering what the hell was going on, and then getting sick of that. And now 25 years of trading the same process.
God, it's just incredible. If you, you're living under a rock. If you don't know who Jason Shapiro is, so please come out from under that rock. But I want Jason's book one day. You're going to have your own book, Jason. But if you want just sort of a little bit more about Jason, here's his stories featured in Jack's book, Unknown Market Wizards. This is Jack Schwaker's, I don't even know, I lost count, 10th or 12th book. And when I read, look at, you could see all the pages in this book. His was the first story that I folded over. I was like, I got to get this man on my podcast, which luckily for me, I did. And then we got to meet in person at Trees for a Cause last year at the cocktail hour. I think we were drinking whiskey. Am I correct? Are you going this year? Are you going? No. Busy time of year. It's October too, not
No, I'm good. I'm good with all that at this point.
That's okay. I'm just glad I got to meet you in person.
Yeah.
And also, Jason started to teach me poker, and a whole table full of us. There was a bunch of us who really don't know how to play poker, and Jason started to teach us. And that was honestly one of the best parts of the whole time, because we were having a lot of fun. We were having fun. Wasn't one of those kids winning? He had never played poker, and he kept winning.
That's the funniest part about it. I was trying to teach everyone to play poker. The greatest lessons was that this kid sat down who had never played poker before, just kept going all in. Everybody kept folding because nobody had anything. And then we finally figured out he was bluffing. So we all went all in with him, and he pulled a great hand, and he won everything. So that's the best lesson in poker right there. You can learn all you want, and it may mean absolutely nothing.
It's like ignorance sometimes is bliss, but hopefully he didn't take that out onto the casino floors. He was in a safe space with us, I think.
No, that's right. Yeah, we weren't playing for real. We weren't playing for real money either, so it's easy to do that, right? We were just playing for chips. So
it was just fun. So for just if you're willing to share, like, how did you get through those 10 weeks? What did you lean into that helps you just breathe your way through to the other side?
I just had to accept it for what it was. You know what I mean? Like I say, part of it was, if trend following was getting killed during that time, I don't know that I would have made it, frankly. But the truth is, if trend following was getting killed, there's a good chance that my stuff would have been trading, because that's what I catch. So the fact that trend following was doing super well helped me get through it personally. You know, I have now I have this newsletter that I do every week.
Yes.
Which really is just
talk about that.
Well, it's just me really distributing what for 20 years has been my weekly trading diary. It was always for myself. That I always kept this for myself. Here's the trades that I'm looking at. Here's the setups. Here's the circumstances that I'm going to trade them. It was for me to stay disciplined to my process. And then I would write a bunch of crap at the end about here's how I see the markets, just for me, so that I could go back in 6 months and be like, look at what I was talking about there and how wrong I was. So, just keep your eye on the ball, trade your process, and remember. And sometimes I get like the macro thing right.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get it wrong, just like everybody, right?
Yeah, totally.
And it's like I say, you tend to remember the times you get it right and forget the times you get it wrong. So this was always something I could go back on and be like, oh my God, look how wrong I was there. Stick to your process, keep your eye on the ball, and don't be trading this macro crap, right?
Yeah.
So that now has become a newsletter that goes out, and that has actually become very, very good for me too, because I was able to write it in there,
Yes.
And what's been really good is, along with that, this service that we do now, there's a Discord as well.
Good. Excellent. What is the Discord? Where, if people want to check it out, where can they go, Jason?
It's just crowdedmarketreport.com.
Okay.
But, I have a lot of people on there now. And now they clearly don't see my trades. Okay.
Right. Of course
but
not.
I do say on the newsletter, this is the circumstances in which I'm trading. And then when it happens, I'll put it on Discord. Hey, I'm putting this trade on that we talked about. If I am ever to do that, put a trade on, I got 400 people going, dude, how are you putting that trade on? You know what I mean? That wasn't set up in the newsletter this weekend. Like, why are you putting that trade on? Right. So that has helped my discipline as well. Not that I couldn't do it and just not tell anybody I could do that. Right.
Totally.
But why would I do that? Right. So that's really helped my discipline as well, because I got like 400 people watching me, more than 400, 1,000 people watching me at this point.
Keeps it real.
So that's helped my discipline with that as well. And how did I get through the 10 weeks? Was I just kept writing things in there, because at a certain point I felt kind of bad because it's like, okay, here these people are paying whatever $100 a month to hear what Jason Shapiro has to say, and I tell them all the time, this is not the place to come to copy trade me, right?
Yeah.
This is the place to come to learn these trading lessons, and you can learn these trading lessons. One way is through watching me do my trades and seeing when I win and when I lose and my discipline and my risk management and all that, and then apply those lessons to your trading.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of the people do like to copy trade me, much as I tell them not to, and I give them 100 reasons why it's not a good idea, but I still know they do it.
Yep.
And so I'm like writing this stuff, and I'm like, look, man, I know you guys are paying money for this, and there's no fucking trades. Like, I'm sorry, like, but there's nothing I can do about it, And so I would get into that, and that would help
Yep.
my psychology of the whole thing as well, because I had to explain to them.
Yes.
Therefore, I'm writing it down. It's very, what's the word? Cathartic?
What's the totally word? Cathartic.
Yeah,
totally.
very cathartic that I have to write it down and explain to them, because I'm actually explaining to myself and talking myself through the whole thing. So,
and how did they respond?
They're very positive. I mean, the people that have been there for a while, were very positive. Hey, just stick in there. We get it. No problem. People that might have joined that month or something like that were probably like, what the hell's going on here? I just wasted $100 or something like that.
Totally.
But the ones that have stuck with since then, the second quarter of the year, we've had some really good stuff go on. So, but it helped me. It just helped me talk about all this stuff. Listen, sometimes, you just have to sit. You know what I mean? You no matter what your trading style is, sometimes you just have to wait. We're waiting for the low-hanging fruit. And I would explain all these things, again, going through my mind, but I was forced to explain that because of that. Hey, you got to wait for the low-hanging fruit, and at least we're not losing money, and and that's going to in time catch up, right?
Correct.
We're not just going to be when I make money, and it's always like if and when that day ever comes is how you feel at the time, right? But if and when that day ever comes, I will be making money from zero rather than from down 5%. Now I make money, and all I'm doing is making it back, right? Exactly. So I just kept writing that every week, and that was helping me a lot get through it as well.
And the fact that there were those people who've been with you for a while, reflecting back to you their patience, their ability to navigate that with you, that had to help. I can't imagine it didn't help too.
I mean, yes, I don't necessarily need the feedback from them, hopefully, for me to stay disciplined to my process. Hopefully,
but
I don't
they
need that. I need
affirming.
some self-control, but yeah, it affirms.
Just affirm that they've seen the good.
It certainly doesn't hurt. And a lot of these people have become, friends. They've been on there for a while, year and a half, 2 years, and so it was nice.
I think being in a silo, which unfortunately I think the majority of traders are in, is causing it to be even more difficult, because that community of affirmation, even if it's just that they stick around, I don't know. We're humans. We can't live isolated. And when the shit hits the fan, it's much harder to navigate it by yourself. Having people around you who have seen evidence of your track record, I think having that, I know for myself, when there's a challenge and my people reflect back to me, yeah, you've been through shit before, you can handle this. It's like, oh yeah, sometimes you forget without somebody who's standing there next to you to say, no, you can handle this. You will get through it.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's all very, very hard.
Very, very hard. But
life is hard because of our psychology.
Yeah.
And trading to me is just a magnification, a massive magnification of that.
Yeah.
Of yourself, all your weaknesses, all your insecurities, all, you know what I mean? They all just come out with this shit, man. And if you ain't ready to face up to that stuff, or like you say, you don't have a support system around you that can help you face up to that stuff, this game is going to be very, very hard. Picking a more, nobody really wants to believe this when I say it, but I believe it to be 100% true. Picking if a market is going to go up or down at any given time frame is extremely difficult to do. It's actually the easiest part of this game. As hard as that is to
Yeah.
do, right? Very hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Over time, knowing which way a market's going to go more than the market itself, which is the only way you can make money doing this, it is extremely difficult. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like I say, that's actually the easiest part of this whole game.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
part, I mean, flip a coin. Who cares? Heads
Right.
buy, tails sell. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That's the easy part. The
Yeah.
hard part is all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's so magnified. Like you got to be,
Yeah.
you know,
Willing to look at the dark, I just say over and over again, it is truly the best school of enlightenment out there because it's going to force you to reconcile with all those little places you don't want to face within yourself.
or not. You'll just lose money and you'll quit. And you see people all the time. Oh, the markets are rigged.
Yes.
This game is all bullshit. All
Yes.
of those things are saying the same thing, right? Which is, it's not me.
Correct.
I'm, and if that's the way you want to do it,
Yeah.
because that makes you feel better about yourself, then okay, then do it. Blame the Fed, blame the markets, blame the government, blame the system, say that it's all rigged, and leave because you're sick of making. Oh, I'm not going to play a rigged market. Okay, bye. Or come to terms with yourself.
Yeah.
And then maybe try and succeed. I say to my kids a lot, if you want to know all the causes
Mm-hmm.
and all of the solutions to all of your problems, grab a mirror and just look in it. Okay, there's all the causes of your problems, and there's all this. You can blame me. You know what I mean? Oh, we got divorced, and you went through a divorce, and I'm not saying I'm not sympathizing with that. Okay, but to dwell on that shit consistently and just keep coming back to whatever your problems were. You know what I mean? My father died when I was young. My mother had cancer. It's all horrible.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it doesn't affect your psychology, but the point is, you have it within you to get past it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. For sure.
And I always try to look towards people who, I came up pretty easy relatively. My parents never got divorced, although they probably should have. I didn't have like the perfect, relationship with my mom and dad and all that crap. But, we weren't poor and we weren't, we didn't need to eat, we ate and we went on vacations and, nothing's perfect. Right. But I came up relatively easy. But I love to look at people who actually had real fucking problems, man, and got through them and have succeeded. I was just watching this thing on Charles Barkley the other night. He was being interviewed. Charles Barkley is an incredible individual, man. This guy came from an extremely poor background, and a lot of these athletes, and it's one thing, athlete, if you have incredible athletic ability and to make the pros, okay.
Sure.
But a lot of these people, came from, single mother and no father and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of them then made a lot of money and failed anyway because they didn't have the wherewithal to deal with that. But even besides like an athlete or somebody, there's a ton of people out there that you can see that have had horrible things happen to them and have come through the other side to find success and even more importantly, to find happiness.
Yeah.
And I love to look at those people because they just remind me like, hey, if I can't get through the fact that, my dad didn't hug me every single freaking day, and that's my biggest fucking problem, you know what I mean? Then I'm clearly not trying hard enough because these are people that got through some real shit. Their parents died when they were young or, you know what I mean? They witnessed their brother or something, getting murdered or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? Things that I've never had to deal with and I couldn't even imagine.
Totally. That concept you're talking about is, I call it self-responsibility,
Yes.
willingness to totally take self-responsibility. It's, in my book, it's the first practice I speak to. And it was that concept, Jason, that turned my whole life around. Because before that concept landed for me, because I did have a very, very unusual childhood, I saw myself as a victim. And I was very fortunate to have a good friend. I had just met him, and I was talking to him about my life, which was pretty fucked up. And he, without judgment, looked at me and said, "Wow, you really see yourself as a victim, don't you?" I was like, "What?" I got so mad. And then, but he said it neutrally, like he wasn't judging me. He just was reflecting back a truth. And something inside of me heard it. And it was because of him that I wound up doing this course called the Landmark Forum. And that whole course was all about taking 100% responsibility for how you respond to whatever life served up. Jason, if I didn't take that course, I don't know where I would be today.
What's it
That
called?
Landmark Education, the Landmark Forum. It's 3 days, 3.5 days. Maybe it's $700, the best bang for your buck. That course, and this friend, Todd, you know who you are. Todd made me promise him that I stay on the ride to the end. And I was like, what's the big deal? It's 3 days, like up into hell and back. I can handle 3 days. He's like, Kim, swear to God right now that you will not leave early. And I was like, okay, I swear. Let me tell you, Jason, I wanted to leave about 500 times because it was poking me. And I hated my Landmark Forum leader, Roger Smith. God bless him. I was just sending him like dark energy the whole weekend because he was pushing all my buttons. And now I know that man, Roger Smith, and what he gave me. So they said there's early poppers and late poppers, right? Like popcorn. I was such a late popper. I did not get it until 1:30 in the morning, Sunday night. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whole time wanted to walk out. Sunday night at 1:30 in the morning, I got it. I was like, oh my God. And my whole life completely went whoop, in one fell swoop.
Good.
Yeah. So anyway, I didn't mean to go down that whole rabbit hole, but
No, it's good.
all that to say that self-responsibility, once I got that, it was like everything else was possible. So I'm 100% with you that is the key. It's like the key to the house. What do they call that? The key, the foundation stone, right? The cornerstone. That is the cornerstone. And I'm with you that so many traders struggle with that, but it's because they equate it with blame. They don't have to.
People struggle with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it manifests itself in trading. Like I say, trading is a very magnified version of life and psychology because of the P&L.
Yeah.
And you can't run away from that, right? You can still blame the Fed and blame the game, and you can still do that if you want, but it's not going to last forever because you're going to have to get out because you're going to run out of money eventually, right?
Totally.
Here you go, I'm broke, but it wasn't my fault. Okay, whatever. You're still broke, so you can't trade anymore, right?
Exactly.
But no, people do that obviously consistently in life. I see it.
Yeah.
I see it all. I still see it all the time.
I know.
This is why I don't know. This is why I've become a little bit away from society because it's funny because to be successful at trading, I feel very strongly you have to do a very good job of overcoming those things and seeing those things in yourself, which means that you also start to see them in others.
Yeah.
And so therefore, if you become successful at trading, you start to understand those things a lot more.
Yeah.
And you start to see them in others. And that doesn't put you in a very good place with other people, when you can see their bullshit because you've lived it and because you've had to try to overcome it in order to become successful at this.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult. I once had a conversation with Annie Duke, who I interviewed one time, and she's a super smart woman, and she's very educated in these type of behavioral biases and stuff.
Yeah.
She wrote a couple books about
Yeah,
all this.
read her books. Yeah.
And I asked her, specifically, I said, so you know so much about people and their behavioral biases. And it's one thing if you can take advantage of that by playing poker
Right.
and you know their behavioral weaknesses and therefore you can take their money and you can be successful at that, right? But how do you go out in the world? Like, how do you go to the PTA meeting when you see people in the PTA meeting arguing and doing that, and you understand what they're doing? It's all about their own insecurities and their own behavioral bias. How do you go out in the world and survive? Because I personally have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I can't really be around a lot of people, quite frankly,
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. What did she say? What was her response?
She said she tries to pick her spots.
Yeah.
She says, like, who cares what the people at the PTA meeting are saying or doing? I'm just there because I'm supposed to be there, and I'll just sit there and shut up and let them do what they do and whatever, make the cake that I'm supposed to make and bring it to the cookout or bring it to the cake sale. She says, I'm not going to bother. She's like, even within my own marriage, she says, there are times when, I will argue with my husband, and there are times where I'll just let it go because you gotta be able to pick your spots, which
Totally.
was a great piece of advice because I don't do a very good job of picking my spots. My wife says to me all the time, can't you just shut it off? Like, why do you have to be like this all the time? And my answer, which, look, is defense mechanism 101, is you have an answer. As soon as you have an answer, you're coming up with your own bullshit. But my answer is always like, look, you can't be half pregnant. This is how I am. This is what I do. And you just got to accept it. But that's not the truth. I can shut up. And if I'm so open-minded and so, whatever, then what the hell do I need to prove to somebody else for? Truthfully, if they want to say a bunch of stupid shit that I think is stupid shit, and they want to, then what do I care? Let them do it. That's
I don't think.
That's the next level, I think, which I haven't gotten to yet.
Well, look,
But I'm
I don't
trying.
think it's because you're trying to prove something. I think it's just because you value truth. You value the truth, and I think there's perhaps this is my speculation with our little bit of time together. I think you just feel this obligation to truth itself that if somebody else isn't going to call it out, you're going to.
No, I say to I go, honey, I'm trying to help them. She's like, yeah, but they don't want your help.
Sure, some people don't. Did you ever read the book A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving?
No, but I will. What's it called? I'll write it down right now.
A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving.
Okay.
There's a character, Owen. Owen Meany is the character who just calls people out left and right. And it's one of my, top 5 books of all time. It's fiction, of course, and it's laugh out loud funny. And this is the one book. There's 2 books I know by heart. They start, but this is how that book starts, Jason. I'm doomed to remember a boy with a wrecked voice, not because he is the smallest person I ever knew, and not because he was the instrument of my mother's death, but he is the reason I believe in God. Is that an opening or is that an opening?
Big time.
It is just a feast of a book. And I think you will like Owen Meany a lot.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'm going on I got a 6-hour flight coming up in a few weeks. So I need a book for that.
Perfect. So what we're going to just, this has just been such a delight. I'm beyond grateful to you for coming in here and just being yourself as only you can be and just being so honest with the journey you've had these last, few weeks. What would you say is the most important advice for those that are listening to us? We got about 93 of them here. What's your advice to those who are watching us, who are probably veterans, who are perhaps newbies? what's your advice just in general for the traders that are here?
I think what we were just talking about, know that this game, if you're going to try and win it over time, the least important thing is getting the market right. And that doesn't seem like that makes any sense. It would seem like the most important thing would be getting the market right. But I'm just telling you, that's not that that's not hard to do. Like I said, it's very hard to do. But once you can try to get an edge on that, that's when the hard part begins, because this will mess with you consistently. Okay. This is the hard part of this game. And that's really what you have to work on. I think, I think that's the best thing you can do if you want to win at this game.
Yeah.
Nobody gets the market right all the time. And if you look at the best traders out there, I'm not talking about the people that are full of shit on the internet that say they get 95% winners, because those people have all proven to be totally full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody does say that, my advice is don't walk, run. Okay. But if you look at the true most successful traders out there, who are billionaire money managers, George Soros, Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, they will tell you straight up that they get less than half of their trades right, less than 50% right. Okay. So know that.
Yeah.
That's not the important thing. Stan Druckenmiller, gets 35 to 40% of his trades correct. And he makes ridiculous returns, okay, over long periods of time. You're talking about over 40 years. The guy has put up incredible returns, right, on less than 40% winning trades. That's all here, right? That's all risk management. That's all letting your profits run, cutting your losses, which is all here. Cutting loss is the hardest thing for people to do. Yeah. Nobody wants to be wrong, right? So that is really what you have to focus on. You have to find a way to figure out how you're going to choose to buy or sell things, of course. But once you have that, you really gotta work on your head. On being willing to be wrong is the biggest thing. Be willing to be wrong. Who gives a crap? You know what I mean? Be wrong. We say on my thing all the time, be wrong, make money.
That's great. I love that.
Like, who cares? And people say to me on Twitter all the time, oh, but you were saying this, you were saying this. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I was, and I was totally wrong. But you know what? I made money, so who gives a crap? You know what I mean? Like, people like to tell me I'm wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Yeah. I mean, my wife tells me I'm wrong every day. But even within the trading environment, yeah, I'm wrong.
I like that. Be wrong, make money. I think that is the title of your book, Jason.
Yeah.
Be wrong, make money.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want to do. Who cares?
But you know what, Jason? I think there are some people who would choose to not make money so they could just be right.
I think that's the majority of people. I think it's the majority of people. No question about it. I've put that on Twitter before. And you see it from these gurus all the time.
Yeah.
They sit here and they stick to, these people that have been bearish for 2 freaking years. These people that got bearish in NVIDIA 2 years ago and have stayed bearish the whole way up. Like, come on, dude. And they considered themselves to be technical analysts, for example. If you're a technical analyst, and I don't trade technicals, okay, but if I did, I could tell you one rule about technical analysis. If a market makes an all-time high, you're not short, okay? That's called a breakout, and you're not short, right? But these people have stayed short this shit the whole time, and all of a sudden they start justifying, oh, it's overvalued, oh, the competition's going to come in and it's going to cut their margins, and right? And all these things may be true one day, but in the meantime, you're broke because you were shorting NVIDIA at 250, and it's gone up whatever, 10 times, or so you're broke. So, but they'd rather, they can't just be wrong. Just take. I did a video a few weeks ago. Somebody had sent me a portfolio from one of these guru sites that he applied to.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get into the person's name because it doesn't matter, right?
Yep,
So
totally.
he had this portfolio of his trades, and it was down like 68% or something like that. And now it didn't have his winning trades, because his winning trades he gets out of.
Okay.
So it only had his open trades, which were mostly losers, because he doesn't get out of his losers because he doesn't want to be wrong. And he wants to say that 90% of his trades make money. He doesn't mention it's 90% of his closed trades, because he just leaves all the losers open. He makes $1 on a winner and closes it, and then he'll lose 200 on a loser, but he won't close it, so it's not seen as a losing trade. Anyway, but I did the thing, and I looked at it, and we looked at it, and we said, okay, so he's down like 68%. He gives his entry, how much he does, his target, and his stop. And the problem was he didn't obey any of the stops. And even without knowing, and I personally think this guy's a bozo anyway when it comes to trading, but even if he weren't, even if his stops were perfect stops and right where they should be and all that stuff, we did it. If he actually executed those stops, he lost half the money than he actually lost if he just executed the stops.
Oh my
And
God.
if he only lost half the money that he actually lost, okay, now he's down on these trades 30% instead of 60%. Well, then the winning trades that we didn't see because he's out of those will go a long way towards making that back, right? But that was the only difference. Just if he had just executed the stop.
Wow.
But he can't, because he doesn't want to say he took a losing trade, right? So that stuff is just so much more important than any of this other, you're never going to be, I promise you, I've tried it, and so has everybody I know. You're never going to be the person that gets the market right all the time. You're just not, because a lot of it is random to begin with. So, you're sitting there trying to say, I'm getting something right. It's like flipping a coin. You know what I mean? Like, you'll get it right. Sometimes heads. Hey, heads. Hey, I'm great. Right? Think about it like that. If you say it's going to be heads and it turns heads, do you consider yourself a genius, or do you just think that you got something that was a 50-50 chance? The market is no different. If you say it's going to go up and it goes up, you are not a genius. It was either going to go up or down, okay? And you happen to say up and it went up. So get over that shit. Yeah. That's never going to be how you're going to make money in this game. Yeah. It's these other things is where you're going to make money, which again is all here.
Yeah. Yeah. Be wrong, make money.
Be wrong, make money.
That's Jason's new book, guys. And he hasn't written it yet, but he's going to. And that is going to be the title. Mark my words. It should be. It's the best catchphrase. And I think everybody should write it down on a Post-it and hang it above their trading desk right now. Be wrong, make money. Go to GoDaddy and buy that title, Jason.
No one's writing the book, so.
I think you should. You got a story to tell me.
Maybe I should, but I know that I'm not going to. But
I'll help you. I'll ask you some questions and pull that book right out of you.
Yeah. Not. I'd love if someone wants to write it. Let's write it. But I'm not. I just know myself, and I'm never gonna. I'm too focused on my other things to sit here and write a book. That was what was nice about Jack. Jack wrote the book. He just interviewed. All I had to do was talk. We talked for about as long as we talked, and he took that and he turned it into a chapter in his book. That's much better for a guy like me.
He's so good at doing that, and he just has that ability to weave that story out in just he's one of a kind. He is one of a kind.
Good author.
I'm just so glad that he got you featured. And how did he hear about you anyway?
From what I understand, he put something out somewhere. I don't know where.
Okay.
LinkedIn or somewhere saying, hey, if anybody has any suggestions who I should interview for my new book.
Wow.
And somebody sent him me as a suggestion.
Wow.
That somebody was actually one of my best friends, Billy.
Wow.
Who died before the book even came out.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he got cancer, and I still remember he texted me. He goes, I have cancer, and it's metastasized throughout my entire body, and I'm dead in 3 months.
Holy shit, Jason.
Yeah, it was sad. He was one of my best friends. But I believe it was during that he did that, knowing Billy the way that I know him. he probably did this for other people too. Before he died, he probably wanted to do something that he thought was helping his friends, quite frankly. And
Wow.
it's nice because in my chapter, which is
Yeah.
in a book, which
Yeah.
will theoretically be in print forever,
Yep.
it says his name.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, which it makes me kind of happy or
Yeah.
sad as well, but
Yep. Bittersweet. It's bittersweet.
bittersweet. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really wow. Talk about a person who was selfless to the last minute, being a contribution to others with a little bit of time he has left. That
Knowing him, that's probably why he did it. And I
yeah.
never even was able to say anything to him about it because
Wow.
he died before the whole thing went down.
He knows though. He knows now. I
Yeah.
promise. He
Yeah.
knows now. And think about all the people he's touched by getting Jack to know about you because your story and the way you operate, Jason, touches people all the time. You help a lot of people, not just with their trading, but with facing hard truths they have to face about their life. So
I try.
I know you do. You don't have to try. You do it. You
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes you wonder, but you have to get 100 people, I feel like, in order to get through to 5.
but it
But
plants the
but if you
seed.
get through those 5, those 5, then maybe you've done something positive.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But those others, you don't know when that seed is going to blossom. It could just be not when you're in their face, but
Right.
that doesn't mean it's not going to land years later because that is cumulative over time. When people hear hard truths, it just sometimes takes them a minute to have it digest.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my kids to come around to that area.
They need a little more time because they got to just be anti anything you suggest just to
I
show
know.
their own individuality.
I know. Believe me, I know.
But they'll
I,
come
I was
around.
that too. So
Exactly. You know.
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll shut this down. If
All
anybody
right.
has a question for Jason, please put it in the chat box. If anybody wants to come in here quick and just ask him a question, this was just such an unexpected, magical conversation. I can't thank you enough, Jason, for coming in. I really thought it was a long shot because I was like, oh, it's so last minute. But then you liked it. I was like, let me ask.
I mean, you got me because right at 8 o'clock every night I run my data, so I'm on my computer at 8 o'clock. So I'm on my computer just running this data, blah, 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 and I get on Twitter just to see what's up, and you had sent me the message. Right, it was perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Thank you,
Jeopardy
Shane.
just ended, so
Yeah. And pretty what? What'd you say?
I said Jeopardy just ended,
Okay.
so
Lucky me. Lucky everybody in the room. If we do this again, I'll make sure it's after Jeopardy.
I mean, I have a date with my wife every night at 7:30 for Jeopardy.
That's so great. That's so fun. I love that.
Because she's
who's
so good at it and I'm so bad at it that
is she? Is she?
yeah,
So
she
she
loves
wants you to see.
it. She loves crushing me.
I want to meet her one day. She's my kind of girl.
Yeah.
Well, you're awesome as always. Thank you for being just who you are and for just your honesty and vulnerability and heart. You've got a big heart. I know you probably don't lead with that, but I see it all the time. So thank you for your heart, Jason.
All right. Well, that was great talking to you as always.
Okay, you
All right.
too.
We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. All right.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.